Welcome back to another from Around Mijas Live, and I'm delighted to be joined again this evening by Anne. How are you, Anne?
Yeah, I'm fine, but I've got I've got the snuffles, I've got a cold, but other than that, yeah. But
What
it
you
is,
mean? There are
it,
still colds around, are there?
I know, yeah, but it is so cold out as well, isn't it? So that doesn't
Yeah,
help. It
yeah,
is, you come out of the warmth of a house and then out into the cold. I don't suppose that helps, but yeah,
yeah,
I
yeah.
you know,
Well, it's the opposite from summer because you're going into places with lots of air conditioning and then coming out into the heat and
I
into
know
the cold. And now
you
it's
get
the
the summer
opposite way
cold.
around.
In
Yeah.
the summer, this summer, I was that hot. I said I would never ever complain about the cold of winter again. Well, how wrong was I? I'm still
You're complaining.
the big topic of British conversation, the weather. I'm afraid,
Oh,
yeah.
indeed, indeed. So, Anne, I know this must be very frustrating for you, but we're going to do, first of all, probably the Brexit update, if there is any Brexit update. And I guess driving licenses is the only thing that's kind of live at the moment. Yeah.
There's not much in the way of an update, even with that, though, Bill. I'm afraid.
No.
I despair, to be truthful. And those people that have not been able to get their driving license, haven't been able to drive since the end of last April, I really feel very sorry for them. The
Sure.
genuine cases, I really do feel sorry for them. And they just seem to be now, I would have to say, being strung along every month. Oh, as soon as possible, as soon as possible. It's got to go through the Spanish Consejo de Ministros, the government,
The
to
cabinet. Yeah.
approve. Yeah, and they meet on a weekly basis, but it's not even scheduled. I mean, we are obviously not a priority, is all I can say. It's taken over
No.
2 years for this. What the heck has been going on?
Yeah, I mean, this is not something that's come up as an emergency. This is something that we've been working on for, as you say, over 2 years.
Absolutely. And I mean, I'm sorry, I don't wish to slate the British, but I kind of think that if Spain hadn't said last year no more extensions on it, I don't think they would have done anything.
Right.
I really
Okay.
think we're out of sight and out of mind, the same as these votes for life and everything else. We're just totally disenfranchised.
Yeah.
And it's not nice when that's the only person the only authority that you can call upon for help.
Sure. Well, we've got a smiley face from Katerina. Hi, Katerina. Thanks for joining
What's she smiling about? Share it.
us. Yeah. So,
Yeah,
so really, it's still a case of since last July, 2022, watch this
correct.
space.
Yeah, and I'm a little bit concerned actually because the British Embassy has been advising since the beginning of January that people did their medical, their hand-eye coordination test.
Right.
Bearing in mind that certificate costs 65, €75, unless you
Yes.
get it I'm talking about Malaga. If you go to one of the centres up at the Tráfico, it's €45 and you don't need an appointment, cheapest I know. But others locally are 65, €75. And
Yeah.
the certificate is only valid for 90 days. So if they've already got it at the beginning of January, but they've now already lost 1 month,
Right.
and it's not even been discussed, let's say, in the Consejo de Ministros in Spain, never mind published. And
Right.
then you've got to try and get an appointment within the time after it's been published, because you've got 6 months you can drive on to exchange. You might need to be getting a new certificate, and that's another 65, €75. So, I mean,
Right.
from day one, I said to people, please don't get it yet.
Uh-huh.
And I mean, there is going to be quite a demand, I would imagine, the minute you can get your driving license exchanged in trafficos in the
Yes.
centre. So appointments aren't going to be that readily available, are they? I think.
Well, I think not. And, a lot of people, Anne, I think, are willing to pay a little bit extra for the convenience of not having to travel into Malaga. But yeah, it is more money. And I can imagine that there's going to be difficulties getting appointments if
I can
everything's
imagine.
rushing
Yeah,
in at the last minute.
I mean, let's not forget they're not just there to exchange our driving licenses. They do lots
No.
of other things at these traffical centres.
Yeah.
They're not just working to exchange the British driving license. So they have other appointments.
Sure. Sure. So, what would you advise people? Hold on,
Oh,
or
no, there's nothing they can do. Absolutely nothing they can
right,
do. And I know some, and it's a little bit naughty actually. Some certainly I saw a health insurance company are saying they have block booked appointments for this medical test. You can get it through
right?
us, €65, and get it now type of thing. But I don't think you need to get it now. I might be wrong, but I certainly wouldn't.
No, it seems to be the case that, when it's something important for the Spanish government, they will get the boy out fairly quickly.
Yeah,
But if it's not a priority for them, then it's just going to go to the bottom of somebody's inbox
yeah.
and wait until someone decides that it's time to get it done. Yeah.
Exactly. I think I've frozen, have I? Is my
Your
image frozen?
your image has frozen, but your voice is okay.
Your image is frozen as well. Okay, well, we're carrying. Oh, there we are. We're
We're
back.
back. Yeah.
Other than that, the digital nomad visa, although we are still waiting on the finite details of the requirements for it by the
Right.
end of March, Spain has. Obviously, solicitors are working on it because there's lots of documentation that needs collecting in advance. So if you believe that you are entitled to it, you can contact us, obviously, and we can tell you
Yeah.
what's needed, as we know at the minute, and you can start collecting the information together.
Well, but what I've also read, I mean, I'm not sure where this is from, if it's from some official document, but
Uh-huh.
I've read that, it's not as simple as if you can work from home or are employed by a British company, that, you have to have a certain level of higher education.
Correct.
So you need a degree. So somebody, for example, who is a whiz on, I don't know, building websites, and they can do those from anywhere, and they might even be employed by a British company, won't necessarily qualify for the digital nomad visa unless they have a degree in, I don't know, computing science or something. Yeah,
80% of your time for a non-Spanish company abroad. And you still
right,
have to meet the criteria for the funding. And I believe it's around 25,000 that you have to have. Don't quote
right,
me on that, because obviously we're waiting on those final figures. Private medical insurance and everything else. The ACRO, the criminal record, clean bill of health as well. Yeah, there's quite a lot to get together. And
right.
obviously a letter or some sort of certificate justifying that the company, if you work for a company, employs you for that amount of time, and they're quite happy for you to be working as a teleworker.
Right. Okay. So yeah, it's as probably we should have expected. It might be a good move forward because it might allow actually some families still to move out
Absolutely.
here.
Yeah, no, you can. Yeah, they can piggyback on the rights of the main applicant. That is true.
Yeah, but it's certainly not going to be a free for all for people who want to work online.
No, it isn't. No, it isn't. No, but
Right.
we can only do what we can do. But anyway, they can start applying for it now. Not actually applying for it, but they can start applying via a solicitor or somebody to get the bits together for them.
Get all the
And
paperwork
yeah,
together.
the other thing, I went to the police station yesterday in Marbella to do fingerprints for somebody's TIE, having got their non-lucrative visa stamp in their passport. And I was told behind, would you please, from all police stations, remind your British people that come back after 50 days, they said in Marbella, but some is 45 days, to collect the actual card. You must bring that receipt that they give you. They give you a receipt that you have submitted it. She said some are coming down just with their passport and not the receipt, and they can't do anything about it.
Right, because I guess there's some reference number on the receipt that
Exactly. I
they,
mean,
they need to then link in with the issue of
I
card.
suppose, to all intents and purposes, that's your provisional residencia.
Right.
You know, the same as you get when you exchange your driving license, they give you a 3-month certificate, which they say is a provisional driving license. We understand that to mean something quite different for somebody that hasn't passed the driving test, but it's a temporary one, let's say. So it would be a temporary residencia. So please, people, do remember to take back this white receipt with you, as well as your passport, when you go back to collect your card. I also complained that I'm having difficulty, as are many, to get appointments anywhere, basically, to go back to collect the card after 50 days, let's say, and there aren't any appointments. And I was a little worried that the card would then be returned to wherever. And they said, no, the card will remain at the offices that you applied for it from, the police station, until its expiry date.
Okay, right.
So I said, can I just come down and collect it without an appointment? The answer was no, appointment only.
I know that I have a friend who's Norwegian and helps Norwegian couples who are moving here to get things sorted out. And I think they were looking for an NIE, and I think they ended up going to, I think it was Estepona, simply because there were appointments in Estepona, but there weren't appointments anywhere else in Marbella or Fuengirola.
There were some appointments in Ronda and Antequera as well, but I didn't want to travel that far. I must be truthful, from La Cala. So, yeah. But I mean, you can go anywhere within Malaga, obviously.
Yeah, but it does seem to be a problem actually getting appointments at
Yeah,
the
but
national.
wherever you go in the first instance to submit your request, let's say for the TIE, and do your fingerprints, is where you have to go back to collect the card.
Yes.
So it's not just one visit and then you can go somewhere local. You've got to go back to the very same police station.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
So that's basically the update on that. Another thing, I suppose, is it's very strange. We've been trying to register S1. Now, the S1, for those that might not know, if you are a retired state pensioner in the UK, you can transfer your rights from national health treatment, state medical care, to the equivalent of Spanish state healthcare.
Right.
Via a certificate. It's a 2 or 3 page document called an S1 that you get from the Overseas Pensions Office.
Right.
Okay, that's fine. No problem there. You get that through, but it has to be dated post 1st of January 2020. If it's dated earlier, they will not accept it here in Spain.
Oh,
and
right.
What they are, and some people have got dated 2019. And what they are saying is you need to get an SO73.
SO73.
This is what the UK are saying. They need an SO73 to be able to update your S1. Nobody seems to know where or what the SO73 is. So much so I had a conversation yesterday with the British Embassy who tell me that's incorrect. We've already spoken to INSS and that's not the correct procedure. But well, what is the correct procedure then? I'm still waiting to hear back from what is the correct procedure.
Do you think we should ask for suggestions on a postcard as to what SO73 means?
Yes. Yes, I haven't a clue. I have not a clue. And nobody seems to know where you get it or what it's for. I don't know.
Right.
I find it very strange. I can see that you possibly might need it if you are a third country national, but not as a beneficiary of Brexit with your British pension.
Right.
It's really weird.
I can think of something off the top of my head, but I probably shouldn't say it. You know,
no, you better not say it, Bill. It's a case of the left hand obviously not knowing what the right hand is doing.
Right.
All I can think. And something else that has just recently come to light, though I've been warning about it all of last half of last year, was that the banks in the UK are closing non-resident bank accounts. Certainly the HSBC and Nationwide are okay. They will permit it. But other banks, Lloyds and I believe Barclays, were closing non-UK bank accounts. And I gave notice of this months ago for people to then be able to open a different account and transfer their belongings, their money, because it will affect your pension if it's being paid into it, mortgages, investments, insurance, if you've got any ISAs, if you've got credit cards, debit cards, etc., you wouldn't have access to any of this.
Right.
And some now finding that the bank has closed their bank account. What do they do?
It's closed it or frozen it, Anne. I guess
they're saying they've closed it, and it's all part of the Brexit because if they do not have sufficient customers that are non-resident Brits, they had to go through some procedure for it, and it just wasn't worth their while. Whether it cost them, I don't know.
Yeah, it's something to do with licensing.
Nationwide some sort of licensing. So HSBC is okay and Nationwide is okay to date. So if anybody wanted to transfer their bank account to either of those, I would recommend it. Others are suggesting you use Revolut or Wise, but I'm not quite sure how they work.
Right. Okay. I think even if the bank accounts are closed, I think there is still a process for transferring the funds from it, but no doubt it's going to be.
Yeah, there must be. And I think if your mortgage is coming through the post office or something, I was reading, you can do it through the post office. I don't know. I don't understand it. But I mean, some are saying, oh, well, that's all right because I've got my sister's address for my bank account. You need a UK address, obviously.
Sure.
Do be careful because I did hear that, and I think it was Lloyds actually, were checking on the electoral register that was actually your address that you were registered at.
All right.
And if it's just a friend or a neighbour or family member, you're obviously not going to be.
Right. I mean,
if you're a habitual resident, you can't have a non-resident bank account, quite simply. It's the same as a driving license. If you're a resident here, you cannot apply for a British driving license.
Right. Sure.
It's where you are habitually resident. You know.
Oh, thank you, Brexit, once again.
But, yeah, thank you, Brett. Another little benefit of Brexit. Back to the
Yeah.
padron, I mean, that's only really if you are habitually resident here in Spain.
Yeah, I had a conversation last week, I think it was, with
Mhm.
the foreigners councillor here about the padron. And the thing is, Anne, I've seen the state bulletin, the BOE, which
Yeah,
said that signing on to the padron is for people who have their habitual place of residence here,
that's
which
correct.
has never been the case previously. Well, it's never been practiced that way previously. But we do know that there are potential pitfalls for people who are registered on the padron who are not, let's just say, tax residents here. Uh,
Correct. Yeah.
or residents in any sense. So yeah, I mean, I said to her that I'm in a position now that I will not recommend people to go onto the padron if
No.
they are not resident here,
Mm,
because
mm,
we just don't know what the implications
no.
for them
Well,
are.
I mean, you and I were dealing with that gentleman whose car was impounded.
Robin, yeah,
Yeah, that was last December, wasn't it?
yeah.
Or a long time ago. And
Well,
he was
it's
only
a while back now,
the
yeah,
year last December, probably. I think I
probably.
don't know how time flies when you're having fun, Bill. But yeah, he was a non-resident, but he had a second home here. So obviously, when he bought his property years ago, I presume the solicitor might have said, "Oh, you need to get on the padron."
Yeah,
And it's good for the council because they get funding from central government for every person that is registered on the padron. So they don't want
yeah,
to turn around and say, you can't do it. But the border control, border police, whoever it was, considered that being on the padron was the equivalent of being a resident here, and he was driving on a UK driving license,
right, yeah.
and that's why and a UK registered car.
And
So
there have been other incidents, and I know that you've had direct
yeah,
experience of that, of people driving UK registered cars and being fined
correct.
for driving the UK
Yeah,
car on a British license,
yeah,
or even a Spanish car on a British license,
correct.
and it's up to them to demonstrate that the fine is not, shall we say,
Valid.
legal.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes, that's it. That's what I was told. I was told that the police are just going to issue the fines anyway. I haven't heard of any recently, I must say, but it was 500 euros. It's quite a
right.
lot. And they were saying, yeah, but too many of you Brits are trying to scam us, basically. So we
Right.
are going to issue you with the fine. And if you genuinely know it isn't valid, then you will claim against. You will
Yeah.
you will appeal. If not, you'll just pay it,
Yes.
which
Yeah.
is not good. But there we go. If that's what's
Well,
happening.
people get a bit panicky, I think, when they get issued with a fine,
They do,
um,
absolutely.
and just want to get rid of it. And of course, if you pay it within 14 days, there's usually a 50%
That's it.
discount.
20 days, I think, isn't it? You
Was it
get
20
50%.
days, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Uh,
some of those people that got done, Bill, back in the summer, they were only here on holiday, so they were going back. And they were worried to death that if they came back into Spain the next time, that there's, an unpaid fine against them and they wouldn't be allowed back in the country.
right.
You don't know, do you? I mean, we don't know what's going to happen.
No, we
The
don't.
other,
No.
the other thing that I have heard, certainly not down here yet, but in Alicante, they have said, regardless of whether you have a British person, obviously it has a residency, they are going to be stamping all passports, which is
Right.
wrong and it shouldn't be. So we're going to have to take that up with the authorities.
Now, I've just read something today from the Schengen visa
I read that as well to say
information.com.
that passport stamping will stop.
Yes, that's what they're saying.
Yeah,
That this is a new entry-exit system. Now, I don't know if
yes,
this is the ETIAS system that they've been talking about or something different, but they do say that it's now on the cards that passports, even from outside of the Schengen area, won't need to be stamped because they're going to be digitally registered on
yeah,
entry and on exit.
yeah. Well, they're biometric passports, aren't they? So yes, easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but they say soon, but we don't know whether soon is next month or next year.
No, we don't. It's a bit like the eco stickers that we've got to have, that they're now saying not until before the end of this year do you have to have them. I mean, everybody rushed out so much so to get their €5 sticker,
Right.
to then find that the post office ran out of them. I don't know.
Yeah, and the thing with the eco stickers is that the individual councils, it's up to them to decide
It
how
is.
and where they're used, and they haven't even decided yet
No,
if
I
or
know.
how or where they're going to be
No,
used.
I know.
And I can maybe see a town like Fuengirola, which is really a busy
Mm,
urban center. I
mm.
can maybe see them applying that reasonably easily.
Yeah,
I don't know in a place like
with the
in a place
population
like
of over
Mijas.
50,000, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
But in a place like Mijas, I have no idea how or when they would use it. What,
no,
no cars in Mijas Pueblo,
I know.
or,
Like,
or
I
no,
think as I
no,
said to you, I think as I said to you last time, I shall be housebound because I wouldn't even be allowed out of my house in my car if I can't get a scooter because I drive an old banger. So yeah,
yeah,
it's you know it's not
uh,
good because some people are saying, well, my car will not qualify, and there's no way on earth can I afford a new car or a newer car.
sure,
Well, like I said, maybe as the government did before, they offered a special plan for purchasing an
yeah,
updated vehicle, didn't they? And accepted yours in part exchange for, and then it was like a payment plan, I suppose, like an HP terms. But
okay.
I don't know. It's all just raising money, I think.
Peter's saying, "Be prepared." He's got his.
Have you? Well,
Good
well
for
done,
you, Peter.
Peter.
Yeah, but I mean, Peter, you've got nothing else to do but organize these things.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So, so
the other thing we're trying to sort out, Bill, is this votes for life for the British in the UK.
right.
And we're working with British in Europe now to try and get that sped up because that's again sitting on the back burner.
Yeah.
And if there's a snap election, we still won't be able to vote in it, even though it has been approved that we should be able to,
Yeah.
because it's not been drafted and approved. And if there is a snap election, let's say this year, for example, we might not be able to vote until 2028.
Right. Yeah. The thing is, though, Anne, there's still going to be some bureaucratic process to get the registration to do that.
Yeah,
And then it
there is.
needs to be a postal vote. The thing is, I can't even remember. Well, I'm not even entirely sure of my last address where I was registered in the UK.
Well, I can remember my last address that I was registered, but whether I was registered on the electoral register at that house, I don't
Yes.
know.
Yeah.
And that is something else that they're saying, that you've got to have some sort of proof of where you were lastly. Well, I
Right.
still might not qualify. I don't know. I don't know how they're going to do it.
Yeah, but
I mean,
you've been here for 100 years, Anne.
yeah, oh, longer than you. Yeah.
I've only been here 90.
Yeah, but if we're fighting to get this vote, then it's important because regardless of whether we live here 100 years or 90 years, we are
Yeah.
still British, and what happens and is decided in government does affect us, as have many people seen following Brexit. All the lies
Yeah.
that we were
Sure.
told that nothing would affect us, and now they're saying, well, we weren't told that. Well, no,
Right.
and it's up to you to vote for who you think is going to tell you the truth. I don't know.
Right.
Difficult, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. Voting for the person that will tell you the truth, that's a complicated one.
That's an impossibility. Yeah. Oh, you should know about that, being a politician,
Oh, trust
Bill
me.
Anderson.
Trust
Shame
me.
on you.
I know listen, my problem, Anne, is I can't tell lies.
No.
I'm a crap liar.
Yes.
So I just tell people the truth. If I know something, I'll tell them. Because I could never keep track of what lies I've told to whom.
No,
So
no.
I'm probably a terrible politician for that reason.
No. I think you have to be a very cleverly practiced liar to be able to remember your lies. I mean, I think my problem would be I wouldn't be able to toe the party line. If I can't see any rhyme or reason in something that I'm being told is going to
Yeah,
happen or do, I have to ask why. I can't
yeah,
just keep stum and say, oh, okay, well, I'll go along with that. You
yeah,
need to go and jump. How high am I going to jump? No, I need to know why I'm being told to jump.
yeah.
So it's difficult.
And it is, and because Spain doesn't easily allow, if you like, independence to
Mhm.
stand for. Well, I'm talking to internationals, but
Uh-huh,
it applies to Spaniards as well.
uh-huh.
But I'm thinking about local elections. It's very difficult for an independent to stand as you would have in the UK.
Yeah.
Because you basically, in order to be independent, you have to set up an independent party, and
Correct.
then you have to present 25 candidates,
Hmm.
and it's a very complicated process for an individual who is not associated with a party to actually be involved in here.
Hmm. Yeah, so we're stuck with the parties that we've got, basically. Make your mind up.
Well, we're stuck with the party system in a way that perhaps in the UK there's more flexibility. You know, a councillor in the UK can present him or herself as an independent candidate,
Yes, they can.
but that's really not so easy to do in
No,
Spain.
no, it's not. And I don't know. I mean, talking about these local elections and saying you are going to vote, aren't you? And make sure you were on the Padron and the electoral
Yeah,
register prior to the date, etc. And there's so many said, "Oh well, I don't even understand local politics. I shan't be bothering." I actually said, "Apathy rules." Then does it?
yeah,
I mean, you've got
yeah,
between now and then, between now and May, to learn about it and to decide who you. It's no good. It's no good shouting about it after the event and saying, "Well, why the
no,
heck did that get? You know, why did they get chosen, etc.,
yeah,
etc.? Did you vote for them? No. Well, then stop complaining. You know, you have to step
yeah.
up the plate sometimes, don't you?
And you know, we are talking about Mijas here, and you know,
Yeah,
I posted yesterday about this 38 million that they're planning to spend on a park, and you know, this is not party political because you know, like you, I'm a resident here in
yeah.
Mijas, and I don't know if I want that a third of our budget to be spent
No,
on a
no.
park, but you know, the thing is that the comments started coming in within seconds of actually publishing this, and
Uh-huh,
people going, "This is outrageous. This is not right. We should be spending it on this and this and this
uh-huh.
and this and this." And if they're not involved in the election system or in the elections, you know, we're letting other people decide who spends their money.
Exactly.
And you know, they're complaining about not wanting this money, but I bet you they didn't vote in the last elections.
I bet not. I bet not. No, absolutely, absolutely.
So, well, not all of them, because some did, you
No.
know,
Yes, I'm good, obviously.
but less than 1,000
Mhm,
out of probably then about 12,000 actually
mhm,
voted. So,
mm.
yeah, I mean, you know, local politics, and you know me well enough, Anne, that I'm not always out touting for votes. You
No.
know, I do the job that I do, and if it's not good enough, well, that's my problem.
Uh-huh.
But you know, I've been pushing to get people registered, and as you say, they had 5 months to find out, you know, who to vote
Exactly.
for.
Yeah.
And anyway, that's
But
it's
I
another.
hear it, Bill, as president of my community, and then people will say, "Well, how the heck did that get voted in?" And I said, "Well, were you there to vote against it?" "I'm not wasting my Saturday morning." No. Well,
Right.
then don't
Yeah.
complain. You know,
Yeah. Yeah. It,
step up or shut up, basically.
no, but it's closing our eyes to how things work. It's the reality. Whether we like the reality or not, it is the
Uh-huh.
reality.
Yeah.
And the way things work in a community is things are decided at community meetings. And if
Correct.
you're not there and you don't voice your concerns about it or your
Exactly.
opposition to it, then things might well go through. And it's
Yeah.
the same for a council.
Yeah.
You know, if you're not voting, then whoever gets voted in, either by the people or by the councillors, which is what happened in this current
Uh-huh.
government, then you know they make the decisions,
They do.
you know the only place we have a voice to actually change that, if that's what we want to do, if we're happy with it, fine.
Hmm.
Uh, but you know, with the tens of thousands of complaints that I've dealt with over the last 4 years, clearly people are not happy with
They're
it.
not that happy. no, they're not. But they need to step up to the plate and vote.
Yeah, well,
Definitely.
yeah,
Yeah. I mean, and besides that, going back to Emily Pankhurst and all of that, women died for the vote
yes,
for women. So,
yeah,
so it's a little bit of a kick in the teeth to them if we're not prepared to go out of our way to spend an hour or so to do so, to vote.
yeah,
I
yeah.
think, yeah.
Well, 28th of May is when the elections will be held,
Right.
and yeah, we need to wait and see what happens, folks.
Sunday, so nobody's got an excuse that they were working.
No, but they've got a barbecue and a beach day, and
Oh, yeah, that's true. I forgot what that's like with this cold weather. Yeah, you're right.
because
Yeah.
that's what happened last year. A friend of ours who was on the tables actually phoned up people saying, "Have you been down to vote?" "Oh well, we've got some friends over and we're having a barbecue by the pool." So
Uh,
yeah,
Do you know,
so
I'll tell you a funny story. My grandma in the UK, I mean, she was obviously in her 70s at the time. And I said to her, with the general election, I said, "Are you voting then?" She goes, "Oh, yes." And I said, "Who are you voting for?" "Oh, whoever brings the car for me first." she didn't. They used to send a car for the old age pensioners locally to go and
Yeah.
vote. So whoever that was, she would vote for them.
That's a kind of solid way of thinking, isn't it?
I know,
But
that's good, isn't it? But that's what she used to do.
Peter is saying that he's not eligible to vote because he
Oh.
hadn't had his residence for 3 years yet, but by the
Right.
time of registering.
Okay.
But yet have strong opinions. You do, Peter. And you know, I'd rather people had strong opinions than no opinions.
Absolutely. Oh yes, yes, I do.
Yeah.
And we have to respect opinions because everybody is entitled to one.
Yes,
You
yeah.
might not agree with it, but you always have to respect somebody's opinion. Well, I always try to.
Well, yeah, absolutely. When I was teaching at university, and I created a bit of a stink because I twisted around a saying by Maggie Smith about opinions. She was talking about something else. She was talking about religion, but she said, you know, there's nothing wrong with having an opinion. Having an opinion is like having a penis.
Right.
And in private, you can hold it as much as you like, but when you start shoving it in my face, you better have a damn good explanation.
Oh yeah, nice. Okay. And that's an opinion, is it?
That's
Okay.
our opinions, yeah.
I should think of that in future. Yeah. Well, there we go.
Yeah. So, Anne, is that about us for tonight? Do you think? Is
I
there
think that
anything
is, if you
else?
don't mind, Bill. I honestly don't think there's an awful lot I can update anybody on. I mean, we're working on these votes for life, like I've said. We're trying to sort out the driving license issue. Hopefully, the nomad visa will get the final requirements required for that. There's a lot of people coming over actually with a non-lucrative visa, which is good. There's quite a few people actually saying, I used to live there. I went back just after Brexit. Boy, did I make a mistake, and I want to get back. And they don't realise how difficult it is now to get back. But we're doing our best to help them, obviously. Yeah. Yeah,
and a lot of people who lived here for a very long time pre-Brexit never bothered to get residencia.
There is that as well.
And if they had done that in their time here, then perhaps coming back they would still be eligible to come back. But
easy peasy.
No,
they didn't. No, so it's not as easy. No, they've got to go down a visa route, obviously. It's not. Yeah, but there we go. We can do what we can do.
Anne, thank you so much for joining me again this evening.
And I'm sorry I couldn't give any better news regarding the driving license, but there we go.
I've got my sort of thick woolly jumper on
I can see that. You need it. It's cold. I've got the heater on next to me. It's really chilly. I've done chicken stew and dumplings tonight for dinner. That would be
that sounds good. Right.
Yeah.
We're around in half an hour, okay?
Okay. Well, it was a good night, that Burns night for you, wasn't it? That was lovely.
It was a lovely evening.
That was nice.
Peter says thank you. Thanks for joining us, Peter. No, we had a lovely evening, and it was good to get the kilt back out again and get it on. And it's still fit. It's still fit.
Oh, well, there we go. That's nice. That's nice. Don't get chilblains in your knees though in this cold weather.
Okay, everyone. We've got a few people joining us this evening. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll be back next week. I think Daniela is joining us next week, so it's going to be more about the community. And thank you. Have a great weekend. Enjoy your chicken stew and dumplings. And we'll see you all soon. Take care, everyone.
Okay. Thank you so much.